Hello! I'm Matthew Horkey.
And I'm Shireen Tan. Together we are
Exotic Wine Travel.
We spent the last 3 years traveling around the world writing and speaking about unique and exciting wines. Our journey has taken us to both lesser known and established wine regions.
In 2016, we came to Croatia for the first time. We fell in love with the country and the wines, prompting us to write the book Cracking Croatian Wine, a visitor-friendly guide. Now we're at it again. We're going to retour the country and bring our book to life. We aim to take you deep into the Croatian food and wine scene. So sit back, relax, and join us as we go
Cracking Croatian Wine.
Because of the sea and mountainous terrain, Croatia is a land full of tunnels and bridges. Many are beautiful, especially the Pag Most, which means Pag Bridge. The bridge connects mainland Croatia to the island of Pag. The island is barren and devoid of vegetation. It's stripped of green growths by the Bourdain, a strong wind that comes off the mountains down into the Adriatic. Many parts of the island look like the moon. Olive trees thrive in the northern part of the island. Some of these trees in the Lune Garden are over 1,000 years old. We're back on Pag to visit a friend in one of our favorite restaurants/hotels in the country, Boškinac. Owner Boris Šuljić is passionate about his island, and he's created an oasis for fans of wine and gastronomy, or anyone who just wants some quiet time away from the crowds.
I believe the quality is something what makes me happy. If we preparing the best food, if we can do the best service, if it could be peaceful, and I'm happy. This is my work, my life, my everything that I do is gastronomy, it's wine, it's food, and so on. Our philosophy is the same. Pag. It must be Pag. Okay. If we put foie gras, then we must put a little bit of lamb liver or something, you know.
So Boris, I think you'll be the best person to answer this. You know, now that Croatia is attracting a lot of tourists, and you are probably the only person running a club, a hotel, a fine dining restaurant, a winery. You know, you have a lot of the aspects of wine tourism covered. So my question for you is, how has tourism changed in Croatia in the past maybe 10 years? And what is the opportunity for wine tourism in Croatia now?
So before the war in socialism, in communism system, it was also high tourism here in Croatia, but it was the cheapest one, okay. So now I think we are slowly in focus for this a little bit higher level of tourism, but we are especially Mediterranean, so our culture is Mediterranean. And our food is really good ingredients. What we can find in Croatia is really rare and really high class. For example, scampi, truffles, fish from our hot sea. You know, we can pairing our wine and olive oil with the best world wine and oil.
We ate here last year, but the menu is seasonal, so we're looking forward to seeing what's new. The menu is designed by Boris himself, in addition to chef Matija Bregeš.
What can diners expect when they dine at your restaurant?
They can expect all the best ingredients and food from this island and this region.
Do you have a certain philosophy for your cooking style and the food you make?
No yet. I'm too young for this, but only passion and love.
Matija takes us back to the kitchen and shows us what's happening. It's the start of tourist season, and the staff are busy doing prep work. Luckily, we don't have to do any work. We just have to eat the food.
This is a variation of Lune olives.
The dishes come out fast and furious. All the courses are innovative and full of flavor.
It's incredible. I mean, they play with texture, they play with color. This is just like visually stimulating. At the same time, I think centrally and texturally, you'll be challenged as well, because eating all this, you might not realize, or it might challenge you in the perception of how olives should taste.
They are made of olive oil, and this powder is made of leaf
from krill and dehydrated eggs.
When it comes to fine dining, it's not just enjoying the experience and all that. Often fine dining combines and contrasts flavors, texture, temperature, the play of all your senses, sight, smell, taste, everything. And often the food and the smell, or potentially the taste, they don't really match up to each other. And that is what is fun about it, and that's how you learn more about food.
Food isn't the only thing Boškinac does well. They produce some of the best wines in the country. We're especially fans of the Osu, a wine Boris dedicated to his father.
I think that skin contact orange wine doesn't have to be made just one way. I think this is more of a pretty done up orange wine where you get more oak, it's clean, and the texture is clearer, more precise. And I like it because the oak integration is very nice. It's spicy and sweet.
The main course? Lamb cooked over coals with vegetable puree. It pairs perfectly with the top red from Boškinac, a blend of Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon.
This is sexy.
Top the meal off with a few desserts, and we are stuffed to the gills.
Sichuan pepper.
It's raining in the morning, but that doesn't detract us from enjoying the breakfast at Boškinac. It's complete with domestic products, including the famed Pag cheese. This is one of the few places in Croatia that you can sample so many different types of Pag cheese all at once. We're in a rush, so we have to hit the road,
What do you feel about
much to
leaving
Shireen's
Bosnia?
dismay.
Happy.
In the afternoon, we make it to the town of Zadar. Today we're visiting Gino Matulic and Jadranka Zvagusha of G&J Vina. We first tasted the wine a few years ago and have become big fans ever since. Gino is a former seaman who worked for many years in Monte Carlo, where he became a fan of French wines, especially Bordeaux. In a tiny garage, G&J produces only one wine, a Bordeaux blend called Tvoya Krvi Moja, which translates to Your Blood Mine. It has quickly become one of the most sought-after wines in the country.
G&J wine was to create the wine similar to the French Bordeaux blending, left and right bank. So we are in Croatia. We had also the terroir, who is very, very nice, like Toscana terroir. So our product is very similar to Super Tuscans and also to the Bordeaux blending. You have to put also in the blending your soul, your music, your life. So that's a real blending. And that is our philosophy of making the wine. So this is a secret. Because your blood is not mean blood like a liquid. Blood, it's your work, it's your suffer, it's your sweat. What you give in the vineyard, cellar, and then in the bottle. But blood, it's your effort, what you give to your wine. And that's the reason why we decide to put your blood and mine. Your and mine. Matthew, your and mine. And your and mine. It's our wine. Our wine. Our wine, Matthew. And our wine. It's our wine. It's not mine, yours. It's our wine. That's our philosophy.
Later in the afternoon, we meet up with Marko Dušević. His company, Adriatic Sea, produces high-end preserved seafood. Most recently, he started an underwater wine cellar named Coral Wines.
This is like algae.
Before we visit this underwater cellar of Coral Wines, Marko's family has invited us to their guest house for a little party. The weather is perfect, and tonight we're going to enjoy a few classic Croatian dishes. The hot coals are prepped and the seafood is cleaned. The first dish up is peka, a traditional dish that's made with potatoes, onions, olive oil, and either fish, octopus, veal, or lamb. It's cooked under a bell covered in hot coals. Next is brodet, a traditional seafood stew. Some salt, parsley, olive oil, and white wine is slowly cooked with prawns, clams, and fish.
Not so good.
This is the way to eat, with your hands, along with some music, friends, and great wine. And then the pekka comes. Tender fish and potatoes soaked in guts and juice. Yummo! Now for some dark, sea-aged beer.
It's just so round. It's really good, but I can't explain. Maybe because it's the right temperature.
Follow that up with more sea-aged wine, and the party goes on until the wee hours of the night. The next day, before we take a look at the Cora wine cellar, the Terrazza Grill has a little surprise for us.
Yeah, super.
Oh, nice color.
They've prepared a local specialty, Pag lamb slow cooked over a spit fire. It's rustic and delicious.
Tell me your national solution to things. Come on.
Rakia solve problems, all problems.
What kind of problems?
So you have a stomach problem, problems at work, if you are happy, and if you are sad, and if you are you need to work in the morning, and you want to go faster sleep, you always drink rakia, and it will help you with everything.
We're stuffed, but now it's time to go visit the underwater cellar. Marco gives us a little background on how he got started and how wines actually develop under the sea.
When I started this, I didn't plan to do this. So the first, I'm a wine lover. I do this for the love of the wine. I like to drink wine. And the second, all winemakers come to me as a friend to the wilderness, and they stay a few days, and they always leave a few bottles. So at the end of the year, I put it in a seed because I don't know where to put it. If we choose the right wine and in the right moment, and we do that in a correct way, sometimes the wine can age faster in sea. It's like in best results we have like 1 year in sea is like 4 to 5 years in basement, but it's not the same development. It's like a little bit different.
That all sounds good, but we look forward to putting this to the test. We arrived at Marco's farm by a small boat. He has a mussel farm for his food products, and the wines are stored near the mussel cages. It's a quiet, serene spot. We start off with a rosé from Slovenian producer Kabai. It's interesting to taste the same bottle, same vintage, aged in the sea versus one aged in the cellar.
Initial thought was the one that wasn't in the sea is better because of the acidity and freshness. But I find myself just going back to the one from the sea. There's just a certain harmony in the taste.
Next, we do the same with a Sintaki Pinot Noir, another Croatian wine we adore very much.
The finish is longer. The palate is more harmonized as well. It's much smoother. And it's so strange, but I feel like it has more weight as well in the mouth. And to me, in terms of the quality, we were talking, and I think the one that hasn't been aged in the sea, if it's like that's like tier 1 level, the one that has been aged in the sea is probably a tier 3 level.
So you're surprised?
Yeah, definitely. This is kind of like single vineyard appellation, whereas this is like, okay, wine or Croatia appellation, or something along that line.
Marco and our other friend Krešimir Ivančić suit up to check out the underwater cellar. Today we're planning to pull a cage of wine out from the sea, but they have to make sure everything is fine first.
Hungry?
Thirsty.
Water? Wine? Which one do you want?
Well, we need to hurry because we need to take the whole cage out now.
All looks okay, so we head out to pick up some wine. I thought it would be a quick process, but it turns out there's a lot of work involved.
Teško je išao prvi, jebi ga, morati malo zapamtiti.
And after all that, we still have to wash the bottles off and pack them into boxes. It's been a long, crazy day, and the sun is setting on this chapter of our journey through Dalmatia. Fortunately, there's much more ahead for us.
In the next episode, we take you to Korčula as we go hunting for the best food and the best wine made from the local grapes, Grk and Polship. If you would like to learn more about Croatia and Croatian wine, keep a lookout for our next episode and check out our book, Cracking Croatian Wine, a visitor-friendly guide.